darkness there behind him. Tunho pulls the trigger at the apex of 12, racing in VP Racing.
Couple of teammates. Full-sitter Tunho, purple number 31 at the front of the field. Then we get to the next two classes all coming through in a big bunch. And when they start to overlap, that's when things are going to get very interesting.
Tunho with a big leap has pulled out over Catalano. Catalano is thinking championship, I gotta believe, Ryan. He comes in here with a sizable lead. Really needs to start this race today, and it's pretty much his. Tunho wants to impress. Who's impressing me right now is the fourth prototype in line, the yellow and orange Ligier chassis. Lucas Facuri, the 22-year-old Brazilian, his first appearance in sports car racing, really coming out of the open wheel ranks, trying out sports car racing, and it seems to be working out for him, at least right now. I know it's early stages.
So far, so good. He's been quick this weekend, towards the top in both of practice sessions. And remember, coming from open wheel, he's not used to having a roof over his head. Other than a couple of TCR starts in his native Brazil, he's never been in that position before. But look at that, aggressive in the early stages, grabbing the final podium spot away from the 77 of Thenis.
Thenis slips back a little bit with that move. Facuri moves him a little bit to the outside, and that is going to allow yet another car through. Thenis slipping back.
That was Christensen able to jump in and take advantage as well. Second time we've seen Christensen. He was at the VIR weekend in replacement for Tunho, who was otherwise detained, like you said. He was really quick there. This track, though, it seems like it's taken him a little bit longer to get up to speed in that Gebhardt car. Interesting, the team running 3 cars here this weekend for the first time all season. But as it's progressed, we've seen Alex Christensen get a little bit more comfortable with each session. I really expect tomorrow in day 2, with the race under his belt, to be the time when he can showcase his speed.
I really believe this racetrack, you need some experience here. It's one that takes a little bit of faith in certain areas, especially turn 1, high speed, high compression. I'll tell you the other thing that's interesting, talking to Randy Bach, who's the race director, 1 pace lap, even in the cool conditions today. So I think these Michelin tires, it's gonna take probably a couple of laps before they're really up and working well, and that may be what we're seeing for Brian Thenis right now aboard the 77 as he dives down into turn 10, under attack yet again. Oh, and contact, and around Thenis goes.
Contact there, 87. Farhan Siddiqui making his first LMP3 start. We saw him in GT4 earlier in the season, and he tags Brian Thenis, second in points coming in. Really not with the shot of the championship, quite frankly, just by this race starting and Valentino Catalano taking the start. He has the LMP3 championship on lockdown. Let's look again, though, at what happened to Thenis here at the bottom of the hill.
I think it's one of those things, again, I don't think Brian Thenis has the car underneath him that he needs, and for Siddiqui, just one of those awkward things. He comes in there, and I don't think at first he was thinking about making the pass, and then he was like, but he slowed up more than I thought he was going to. Maybe I should. And when you get to that situation and you make that hesitation, you really need to think, I just need to back out. My first thought was probably the correct thought. The contact happens. Good battles now in GSX.
Yeah, that's for the lead in the class. Kiko Porto, who also clinched the title by starting this race in GSX, actually dropped back behind Stephen Clemens on the first lap, but he's now back in front. So Porto in the white number 8, and it's the red number 76 of Clemens who sits a really strong second. Then Alan Patton making his season debut in the picture as well, and he's nipping at the heels of the top 2.
Tell you what, remember back to VIR, Ryan, these two up front right now, Ian Porto and Stephen Clemens, they had an awesome race, side by side, back and forth, and it was absolutely spectacular. It's the way sports car racing should be. We're seeing it again here at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, they swapped a couple of those wins, didn't they, at VIR. Really, really compelling stuff. And actually, Ian Porter also was in the conversation in a lot of those. He had to start at the back of this race here today due to a miscue of his own making. He was quick to admit, just a little too aggressive in qualifying, and he caused some damage to the car, so he had to start at the very back, and he's jumped up to 4th. However, I think he's got a penalty coming his way, it looks like. The start, as is customary, was reviewed, and it sounds like he was lined up in the wrong column coming to the start, and consequently will have to serve a penalty. So all of that hard work for Ian Porter to jump from the back of the pack to fourth comes undone. Yeah, and what he's got to hope for now when he serves that penalty is a full course caution so it can get him back to the pack. Otherwise, it's going to be difficult because if he, oh, well, it's a 10-second post-race penalty. I'm sorry, I was thinking it was a drive-through, Ryan. Yeah, that hurts. And certainly what he doesn't want to see then is a full course caution, because any ground that he gains will be negated with that penalty. So tough there. Meanwhile, in GSX, Kiko Porto holds down the point from Stephen Clemens, and it looks like Patton has dropped back a little bit. He had charged up on this group early going, now has lost a couple of car lengths. So Patton's first time in this series, but a very experienced racer. They're with the Thunder Bunny team that he runs with, and here is the battle in GTDX. And this is the championship that is guaranteed to go to the final day of the season tomorrow, simply because of the number of cars entered in the class. Adam Adelson, who's leading here in the Porsche with Jake Walker behind. That's how they sit in the championship, despite the fact that Jake has rattled off this remarkable winning streak. The problem is he had a disastrous Daytona, and we said at the time, all the way back in January, remember this could prove difficult to overcome, and unfortunately it looks like that's the case. He basically needs Adam Adelson not to start race 2 tomorrow to have any chance at all of stealing the title away. Yeah, it's one of those things that GTDX new to VP Racing SportsCar Challenge, so the field just not as well subscribed as it will be next year as the series continues to grow. So when you have that problem, one of those deals, it's hard to make the time back up. It's hard to make the points back up because Adam Adelson isn't going to finish 10th because there weren't 10 cars in a class somewhere. So even when Adam Adelson had a bad day, the point swing wasn't that great. And conversely, for Jake Walker, he picked a really bad day to have a bad day because there were 9-10 cars back at Daytona. So by not starting at all, that's a goose egg in race number 1. Then they had a DNF in race 2, and it was a 9th place result, which they couldn't have finished that poorly in any subsequent race from that point on. So it was really unfortunate from that perspective. And then give Adam Adelson credit, too. Yes, Walker's won all these races, but Adam's been driving with the championship in mind, and he knows as long as he is shadowing Jake Walker, there's nothing Jake can do. Well, yeah, I mean, and that's how you win championships, right? I mean, Adam Adelson has been quick in that Wright Motorsport Porsche all season long, but he's also been very, very smart about not risking positions on the racetrack and so on and so forth. He knows, like you said, if he just shadows him, does his job, it's a hill that's too much for Jake Walker to overcome. Walker has been absolutely amazing. 7 wins out of the 8 races since Daytona, and a lot of the racing has been just like we see down to turn 10. That yellow Turner Motorsport BMW all over the back of that green Porsche. The racing's been spectacular, but Adam Adelson has managed this championship. Really smart the way that he's approached it with the Wright Motorsports team that he now owns behind him as well. This could be a preview of some battles we see during the 10-hour race at Motul Petit Le Mans on Saturday. These are 2 drivers that are using this in part as a tune-up. Adam running the full season of WeatherTech this year. Jake Walker back in the Turner BMW in the WeatherTech Championship for the 5th time, reprising his role as the Michelin Endurance Cup driver. And both camps will tell you they have found this VP Challenge format to be extremely beneficial for them to get the extra seat time for these 2 drivers. Then that allows their WeatherTech teammates to get extra seat time during the WeatherTech practice sessions. Well, and I think that's a really important point, especially when you go to races, the longer endurance races where you've got 3, maybe even 4 drivers in the car. If one of your drivers is running in VP Racing that weekend, they can go get their track time somewhere else, and the other drivers can focus on the car that's running in WeatherTech. So it's a great strategy to use. Track time, the more you get, the better off you are. And you've got 2 cars running. You can try different things in the different practice sessions. So
it helps as well, I believe, with the setup and the tuning of the car.
That's what Elliott Skier, who is Adam Adelson's WeatherTech Championship co-driver, was telling me earlier in the weekend. He said, I would not get the kind of seat time I'm getting in the WeatherTech car during practice if it weren't for the fact that Adam is getting his time here in VP. Plus, because the cars are basically the same, there's no torque sensors here in VP Racing SportsCar Challenge, which means the BOP is slightly different between WeatherTech and what we're seeing here, but it's negligible. And to your point, Elliott said, yeah, we can test some stuff out in VP Challenge, and it applies more or less directly to what we're doing in the big show.
Uh-oh, problem. Car off at turn 5 in the gravel, and that may be exactly what Ian Porter does not want to see. It is the number 19 stuck there in the gravel on the side of the road, and the problem is that gravel does exactly what it's supposed to do. It's Roland Kranz who's off there. What it's supposed to do is arrest the car and not let it get to anything solid. That's what it's done. Unfortunately for Kranz, it's brought out the full course caution.
Yeah, Roland, tough break for him there. The Auto Technic entry stuck in the kitty litter. Coming off of his best result of the season, finished 4th in the most recent race at VIR. Comes in 7th in points, but it's been a good year for him. And of course, his son Austin will be racing in Michelin Pilot Challenge later on in the weekend, so very much a family affair. Now,
did he have help?
Cause or effect? Yeah, that's the question. This is Alex Christensen, the Swede, who is so strong at VIR, but something amiss at the left rear, certainly a puncture, maybe more.
That's interesting. I would think that if a prototype and a GT car got together in turn 5, it would have been right front of the prototype into the left rear of the GT car. We saw that damage on the left rear of Christensen's LMP3 machine. So the 87 in as well.
Yeah, this is interesting. So this is the car that had the contact earlier, and that was with Venus, wasn't it? Yeah, down here, as we said. And he was given a drive-through penalty. Now, you cannot serve those
under yellow.
Right. So, yes, he just did a drive-through, but unless he was in the pit lane before the yellow came out, I'm not sure that's going to count.
So we'll have to see how that plays out. Meanwhile, I'm interested in that damage to Christensen's car, the left rear, and I can't tell if it's just the tire that was down or if there's actually suspension damage, Ryan. Hard to tell from the view that we had, and once again, we're not sure whether the two are related. Christensen now on pit road, he can come in during this full course caution and get that taken care of. Looks just cut down, I don't know.
Hopefully that's the case, and it's nothing more serious than with this neutralization here. They should be able to get Alex back out and into the fight once again.
And I don't see at this point in time any messages on the timing screen about an incident between the 1 and the 19 being under review, so it may be completely unrelated. It's just interesting that it happened at about the same time, very coincidental, but obviously for Roland Kranz, it's more than just, hey, I went wide, got stuck in the gravel. This car's going on the rollback.
To see some of the skid marks, I think, heading up over the curb and into the gravel there. So that's something that happened earlier in the corner, obviously, and he ended up in that position. But, yeah, frustrating there, and hopefully whatever the malady is, it's something that can be rectified with still one more race left to run here this weekend.
Well, and I said, too, when the full course caution came out, we go back to that 10-second post-race penalty that Ian Porter will have. Is there damage to that wheel?
Yeah, definitely. It is scuffed up against something, and a little damage to the bodywork. Yeah.
So contact somewhere.
Now, how would a right rear and a left rear,
unless you were exactly side by side and the 19 was to the inside, that would have been interesting. We don't know, so we'll just put it that way. And no incident seemed to be under review, but we were talking about Ian Porter, that 10-second penalty. This is exactly what he did not want to happen. When I first thought of it as a drive-through, I'm like, this is what he would want to happen, but it's not a drive-through. It's a post-race penalty, and he was beginning to pull out on Alan Patton, who was just behind him on the racetrack a little bit. That's what he needed to do, is put time between himself and his nearest competitors, and it has given them the opportunity to close back up, closing down on 30 minutes to go.
Oddly enough, a drive-through penalty, while harsher on paper, actually might have been preferable. Yeah, because you can get that served, then get bunched back up behind the safety car and make your way forward. Now, it's all about trying to build as big of a gap to the cars behind as possible to negate the consequences of the penalty.
And thinking about this racetrack, I may have called in and said, "You sure you don't want to drive through?
Can I do something worse to get it converted into a drive-through?"
Can we just convert that into a drive-through? Because I've got a feeling we may have a full course caution before this race is over with, and that's going to help me. Well, there you go. The incident involving the 19 and the number 1 is to be reviewed post-race. So something did obviously happen. We don't know what it was, and the officials are going to have to look at onboard cameras and such before they make a decision. Great call from race control, as I give them credit for all the time, for making sure that you get all the information that you can before you hand down penalties. You don't want to further ruin someone's race. Obviously, Roland Kranz's race is ruined as that car goes on the rollback and go back to the paddock. And for Christensen, he needed to come in and change that Michelin tire, but should get back relatively quickly. I like the escape roads and all that we have here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta and several places around the racetrack where this can get taken care of relatively quickly, as we saw track services on scene there to get that stricken BMW from Autotechnic off there at turn 5, and we should be able to get back to green relatively quickly.
Looks like we're inching closer. That's great news. Quick work by the track staff and the AMR medical crew that IMSA has here on site as well. Great mix of machinery here in this field. Just waiting a little bit further back in line, and it's this e-Boost Porsche, car 32 from GMG. I want to give a quick shout out to the team and to Kyle Washington, who has basically had no practice, no time on track at all, missed qualifying because of a technical gremlin that occurred on the first lap, their out lap in practice that they've been chasing. They got that rectified, and now Kyle has to learn this track and everything that goes along with it.
16 minutes of practice, basically.
Well, yeah, that's it. The first 16 minutes of this race. Precisely. So that is drinking out of the fire hose right there for Kyle, who's driving really well across multiple series this year. He's been a busy guy, just racking up as much seat time as possible. Saw him early in the year, first couple of rounds of the championship, then took a hiatus from VP Challenge, but great to have him back. Super passionate racer, and credit to him and to the team for getting that problem fixed and now learning on the fly here in the middle of the race.
Yeah, you think about this racetrack, and it's one that you need some comfort on it. And for Kyle, as I was joking, he's had 16 minutes of practice, basically, and he got it in the race. So he's got time now, and this probably isn't a bad thing. It pauses for him, gives him a chance to catch his breath, and now he's ready to go. We're ready to go as well. Closing down on 27 minutes in the penultimate round of the 2025 season for VP Racing SportsCar Challenge. You see the lights off on the BMW safety car. Oscar Tunho back in the series. Little hiatus over the last 2 race weekends. 5 races in those 2 race weekends because of the postponed race from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Fans, cameras out, getting ready for this restart. Tunho is as well. Catalano has the championship wrapped up there in 2nd place. So if you're Catalano, do you let your teammate go away and have a victory, or do you say, let's hit this on a high note because I got nothing to lose? We're about to find out.
Yes, we are, and I suspect it's the latter. Nothing to lose, let's just go for it. Don't have to think points for the first time all season long. That said, no one's been able to match Tunho's pace.
Car off in turn 12 at the exit, picks up some signage, gets it back to the racetrack. No harm, no foul there as far as damage to the car, but that signboard's going to need to come off, and that was close right there. It is the number 93 BMW, Bill Kane. And what he needs to do is get off at the motorcycle chicane, slam on the brakes, and that signage will fall off. Doesn't do it.
No, didn't take that opportunity, and he'll need to get that off quickly too, because that's blocking any airflow into the front of that car. There's a nice gaggle of cars that are stacked up behind him. Bill's another one that's having to learn on the fly because he missed the first couple of days of the event. He knew he was going to be away with some personal commitments, and also has been trying to learn as we go.
I don't think Kyle Washington got into him at all. Great save there, then picks up the signage, and really his team needed to be on the radio with him saying, go to the chicane right at the top of the hill at turn 3, go to the motorcycle chicane, jump on the brakes, it will fall off. The only thing holding it on the front of the car right now is air pressure.
Yep, so without slowing down, it's not going to go anywhere. Now, hopefully he can get to a place and drop it in a place like the chicane or someplace else where it's not going to happen
right here.
True, yeah. You just don't want it to be sitting on the track and bring out another yellow.
And that's experience, right? I mean, if you're an experienced driver and you've done this a lot, you may have not done this, but you may have had this scenario before, and you know, hey, I need to get that off. We see it with grass, where you can pick it up and have that taken care of, but this is a problem. I'm worried about the engine, and full course caution is out.
Interesting. Makes his way into the pits. Part of the sign, or a sign at least, has ended up onto the track. He did take out a couple of them. Hope there's some spare Michelin signage, because he did a number on those signboards there at the exit of the final corner. Let's
see if this comes off when he stops, and we'll find out if it was going to take additional help. Now, up in the motorcycle chicane, he could have jumped on the brakes. If it came off, great. If not, he could have backed up to see if maybe it's caught on the front splitter, under the front splitter. But he didn't, so let's see what happens here when he gets on the brakes and comes to a stop. It may be really simple. There's one. The other one may or may not have, but yeah. And again, that's experience, right? If you've seen it a lot, or you might have been involved in something like this before, grass in the radiator like we were talking about, you would have that experience to know, hey, maybe if I just get on the brakes good and hard. But when you're out on the racetrack, you're thinking, I need to go get some help. You may be able to help yourself. We just don't know. Here's a look at the restart again. Does Washington get in the back?
I was wondering the same thing. There was certainly a twitch, but again, was that just the car getting loose on its own, or was there a little bit of a nudge? Don't see any signs of it necessarily, as we just got a brief glimpse of Kyle's nose coming through.
Yeah, he just happens to be real close to him, and it's just hard to tell.
Huh.
And here's where I was saying, if you watch the car right here as it turns to the right, you'll see some extra pavement go off to the left. Right there as he went out of shot, that's the motorcycle chicane. And if you head straight there, you can perhaps get that stuff taken care of.
Well, Bibb looked like he was having fun. Got a nice ride around the racetrack that bears his name, Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta.
Yeah, and that was actually signage that was moving around the racetrack.
Oh, this is interesting. So this we thought was going to be reviewed post-race, but they must have got a look at it.
Must have found some closed-circuit television cameras, some security cameras that gave them a better look. So Christensen had the penalty of having to come in and change the tire, but it's going to get worse than that now, as there will be a drive-through penalty. Cannot be served under green, so when we go back, or under yellow, I should say. So when we go back to green, he'll have to wait and come in then. Meanwhile, Bill Kane has gotten his BMW back out.
I didn't see anything on the back of that car, so I mean, Kyle was close. He was ready to go, but I don't know that there's anything to indicate there was contact there. And that's good to see. Both can now continue on after this little delay.
And obvious acceleration difference between the GT3-based car and the GT4-based car. So Washington was going to look like he was charging forward anyway, but yeah, so I have not seen anything pop up there, and that was a little too close for us to call, and now we get to do it all over again. For Valentino Catalano, he knows what didn't work last time on the restart. See if he plays it differently. The restart zone is the exit of turn 10. So as soon as they come out of the next right-hand bend, Oscar Tunjo can jump on that throttle, reach for that 400 plus, almost 500 horsepower in the back of this LMP3 machine and go, and another great restart.
Yeah, absolutely on it there. And he's been so fast all weekend. He's got the fastest lap in this race by about a half a second over his teammate Catalano. Those Duquesnes are hooked up. That Gebhardt team, which debuted in this series at this track 1 year ago and were super impressive right off the bat. They've not skipped a beat all season long, even with a rotation of drivers coming in and out of their cars.
Talking about somebody who hasn't skipped a beat, Jake Walker, that Turner Motorsport BMW, the bright red or bright yellow BMW. Where did I get red from, Ryan? Bright yellow BMW, not letting Adam Adelson get away in the battle for the lead in GTDX. He wants another win. For Adam Adelson, he's got to start the race tomorrow, so you can't risk the car by being too defensive. But at the same point in time, I want to race for a championship, right? And I'm sure that's what Adam's thinking. So he's not going to let him go by easily.
As they run, it would be a 240-point advantage going into race 2 tomorrow with 4 cars in the class. There's no way that Jake Walker can overhaul Adam unless Adam fails to start the race tomorrow. But it's been a little while since Adam's gone to victory lane. Got to go back to mid-Ohio midway through the summer, and since then it's been a lot of finishing second to that Turner BMW. Nevertheless, it's been enough to hold that championship lead, and for Adelson, this is a championship that's significant because it's a single driver championship, and he takes a great deal of pride in the fact that if he can hang on and win this thing, it's something that he has done with the help of his team, of course, but unlike so often in sports car racing, it's single driver, so it comes down to him executing.
Oh, look at this. Through turn 3, through 4, down through the S's to 5. Jake Walker was right there on the rear wing of that Porsche. Adelson now pulls out just a little bit, but Walker not letting go. He's like a terrier with a bone, not letting that Porsche get away.
No, he's on it. This is great. 2 drivers we're going to be hearing a lot from in the future in the IMSA paddock. Jake Walker, mentored by 2004 Indy 500 winner Buddy Rice. Great to have him as part of the program and in his corner. It's really helped to nurture his career, point him in the right direction. Tell you what, he's just gotten better and better as the year goes on. The pace has been good. Now we're starting to see the racecraft too. Side
by side, wheel to wheel into 10. Adelson has the line to 10A. Walker, I think, probably wisely backs out, but what he did was he just made a statement, Ryan. Hey, I'm getting off of turn 7 better. I've got a better race car, I believe. It's a matter of time, and he wants that thought stuck in Adam Adelson's head. And for Adam, he's like, sorry, buddy, you didn't get it done. You're not in my head right now. I'm not making a mistake. You're going to have to do better if you want by.
Well, the way these two have raced one another all year, it has been close frequently, and it has been clean almost exclusively. It's been awesome watching the two go head-to-head. There have been some others that have come up to challenge at times. AJ Muss early in the season in particular stands out as someone who had some really strong pace and looked like he could be a championship contender before he elected to switch his focus to the WeatherTech Championship. But yeah, the way these two have raced with one another all year, it's been exemplary.
This is where Walker got a great run off of turn 7 onto the back straightaway last time. Adelson now slides wide in the grass. This is going to cost him a ton of speed at the end of the straightaway. Walker is there.
Well, that might have been that thought that got planted in Adam's head the previous lap. He knew he had to get a good run out of the hairpin to have a big enough gap to hold on to the lead down through this section of the track. It maybe just exceeded what the car was willing to give him ever so slightly, and it cost him dearly. Got off in the grass, lost all the momentum, and that BMW was through.
So easy to do out of 6 just before the break zone to 7 to just glance up in the mirror as well and just go, okay, where are they? I want to make sure they're not sticking their nose in coming in here to the turn in for 7. And if it takes you off your game for just a fraction of a second, this is what happened.
Wasn't much, maybe half of a tire width wide at the widest part of that curve, but then the curve tapered in, and next thing you know, he had the left sides both in the dust and off the track. Just got that wheel straight, make sure he didn't do anything that would compromise the integrity of that car. The one thing he cannot do is damage that chassis in a way that would compromise being able to race tomorrow. So able to take care of that at least. Yes, another win would always be sweet, but big picture first and foremost, and he was able to look after that.
Well, it's what we were saying earlier. You know, you're going to race hard and you want that win. But for Adam, the championship comes tomorrow when the green flag falls and they cross the start-finish line, right, at the beginning of the race. At that point in time, you can wad it up in a ball and throw it away. So I think the attitude for tomorrow's race, very different than today's. And in motorsport everywhere around the world and in every class, it's exactly what we just saw. The smallest mistake can mean the difference of winning the race and not winning the race, and that one happened, unfortunately, for Adam Adelson. If he had made that mistake coming out of turn 3, if he had made it coming even out of turn 5, where you didn't have that long following straightaway, the result may not have been the same. He may have been able to hold the position, but going on to the longest straight here at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta, when the speed was compromised at the exit, day is done.
Game over at that point, and you're right, depending on where you make that mistake, it might be survivable, but ultimately could not hang on to the lead. Meanwhile, GSX, it's the Kiko Porto show. Where have we seen that before? What a season he's put together. His first year racing in GT4 cars after running in Lamborghini Super Trofeo, and then an impressive junior open wheel career, including a USF 2000 championship prior to making the switch to sports cars. He was really coy when I asked him what his plans were for next year, but what was telling is he had a big smile.
I was going to say, he always has a big smile. Problems here for the 89. Off at turn 1. More signage, movable signage here, and same deal. I don't know that the crew had time to get on the radio and say, hey, get it off there at the chicane because you can drop that signage. But for Zitza there aboard the 89, that's an issue, and he's going to carry him all the way around. If the crew can see this, they still have time to jump on the radio and say, hey, come out of turn 7, driver's right, jump on the brakes, and that stuff will fall off. Ooh. This is a problem, though.
Yep. And that's some of the front runners in GTDX that were going through all of that dirt. Often these signboards are anchored by a sandbag or some kind of a bag of dirt, that holds them in place. But here's Itza does pull to the side, trying to get those signs off. Maybe if you can back away.
If you can back away, they'll fall off. They're caught underneath. And a lot of times it's actually better to stay on the pavement because it gets caught in the grass, and all of a sudden you don't have the same kind of clearance. He's going to try to bulldoze through them, and if he could back up a little bit, he'd be okay, but it's too late. The officials have looked at this and said, you know what, there's debris on the racetrack. We've got this car off to the side. Let's be smart about this, and a problem for Stephen Clemens.
Wow, this is one of the front runners in this class. He was
contact.
Yep, second place, and it's definitely left rear.
I say contact. It's some type of a toe link on the left rear, I believe. I would think that would have happened, or it's a tire and a toe link. It looks like typically that happens from contact.
Yep, I would agree with that assessment. I'm not sure who he was running around at the time. Steven has been super quick all year long. Won a couple of races. Let's take a look at this. Okay, so this is what happened to Zitza side by side there with Kane. Just gets off wide. Is that top of the hill turn 1?
Yep. So no contact there, but you get out there on the gray a little bit, and you can even see Kane aboard the 93 BMW. He got a little loose, trying to hold it down, trying to pinch the car down to the apex.
Actually, right there, you got to look at one of those bags of turf, of
mulch.
Right, that then ultimately got deposited on the track. We got a glimpse of that momentarily right at the very beginning of this, and that's what they use to hold those things in place. And those can get underneath and cause some damage to the underbody of the car. Actually, I was talking to a Porsche Cup team yesterday. They were reliving an experience of a year ago where one of those bags of mulch got underneath, and they couldn't tell that there was anything wrong with the car until it got parked. The driver had been complaining about it the whole race.
And they said, nothing's wrong with it.
Suck it up, basically. And sure enough, they look underneath it, and it had torn everything apart, punched things up.
The engineer normally says that to the driver. He's got bigger problems, fluid, and this is going to be from overheating, I believe. Looks like fluid off the left front, and I think that overheating is probably from carrying that signboard around. I want to know what happened to Stephen Clemens, though. Typically, toe links don't break without some help, and the tires cut down as well, so can't help but wonder if there was not contact there with another car.
Ooh, and now that tire carcass is starting to flap around and cause some damage, at least to the bodywork, if not to something more important than that. And look, this doesn't matter for a championship, but championship positioning still could be affected. Steven comes in here 430 points out of the championship lead, but only 50 points ahead of Ian Porter in that second and third place battle. We know Porter's going to have that penalty, so he's going to be dropped down. Justin DiBenedetto, it's a lot to overcome, but 170 points behind Clemens coming in for second place, and he's having a decent day right now. He's, fifth place and would inherit fourth.
He's going to move up.
Correct, and so that could help him make some headway relative to the top two. Or, sorry, second and third.
So Eric Zitz's number 89 behind the wall now with the problems that he had with that signage up in turn one. All right, so coming down the hill, there's no one around Steven Clemens. He's good into turn one, no one around. No. It may have just broken on its own. You do use the curbs here a lot, and I said a toe link because it looked like it was not square to me, but right now it looks like the suspension is where it needs to be.
Yeah, it looks like it's back intact. I agree. It looked like a toe link to me too. Let's stick with this shot here.
Is that a little contact there?
Could have been. Let's see. That's
right
where
there,
it
yeah.
starts. Wow. Now, one thing that some drivers have mentioned to me, the trailing edge of some of these curbs here can be sharp, and you do have to be careful with your curb usage, I'm told, to avoid perhaps cutting down a tire. Maybe that's the culprit here.
Yeah, and it looked, when he came through turn 5, it looked like the tire, the wheel was towed out.
Right.
Significantly, but maybe just the carcass, kind of an optical illusion. So that's good news for Clemens, so he can get back out there and perhaps claw some ground back if someone else has a problem on the racetrack. So we'll have to wait and see. But tell you what, that BSI team has been so strong all year long. Remember, they had a great run going at Daytona before they had problems. And then the victory at VIR for them. So, you know, a great run for that team. And it's one of those deals that looked like he was poised to have some more of it here this weekend with that good performance that he had going, but not to be.
This is a look earlier in the lap. I mentioned the curb usage could be worth noting.
Yeah, but
don't see anything untoward with that. A little twitch coming off, but that could be
that's just
throttle oversteer. Hard to tell. What we can tell is it's about time to go racing again.
Back at it, green flag waves. I said Steven Clemens at VIR. His win was actually at Mid-Ohio, but they had that great run.
They did win at VIR too.
Won the first round at VIR. So that team with 2 victories this year. He really has been able to give Kiko Porto a run for his money at times with those victories. And that team learning the series in the car as well. So disappointing to see that problem here, but goodness, it's good to see that it's not more significant.
Correct.
Than just that cut down tire. Back at it.
Yeah, I've been totally impressed with the way that team has adapted to this. And, you know, 430 points, the deficit coming in, but that also is a bit anomalous because he had a bad Daytona, similar to the Jake Walker story in GTDX. Clemens had finishes of 11th and 15th at Daytona, which you just can't overcome, even being consistently on the podium the rest of the way. So he's been quick, just hasn't had luck on his side.
Hey, that's motorsport.
It is.
Luck is a good thing to have. I remember Doug Feehan talking about the Corvette program, and you know, he talked about 80% preparation, and I think, got to get my numbers right, it was something like 80 to 85% preparation and then 17% good luck, and there was nothing left to the drivers. All that adds up to 102,
yeah.
Right? But he was leaving, Doug in his humorous way would leave the drivers out of it and say, hey, we prepare, and occasionally we get some good luck on our side as well.
Doug was one of a kind. I'm glad got to overlap with him a little bit in my time at the IMSA paddock. Just amazing what he built with the Corvette racing team, and his legacy very much continues We'd love to see a Corvette in this championship, maybe in the years to come. But right now, less than 6 minutes to go. 2 championships already in the bags. Valentino Catalano, by starting the race, got the P3 championship on lockdown. Same story for Kiko Porto. Jake Walker leads in GTDX, but Adam Adelson still with a points lead that would be insurmountable as long as he takes the start tomorrow.
Well, and don't forget Bronze Cup as well in the 3 different classes. Brian Thenis, I believe, has wrapped it up for sure, actually, in the P3 category. Samantha Tan, a great season. I think 5 different wins, 6 different wins in the GTDX bronze category throughout the season, and she should wrap that up here because Vin Barletta not running here this weekend. So that should be the door open to the championship for her there. And Ian Porter may be having a bad day right now with the penalty that he will have coming to him, but he leads in the GSX bronze category as well, and he should take that championship home.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he can finish any worse than 7th as long as he sees the checkered flag. Clemens has lost the lead lap. Bill Kane with an issue, but able to pull away. That's good. He's shown down in 9th in GSX. Again, drinking out of the fire hose this weekend because having to miss the previous couple of days of track activity here at Road Atlanta, but continues on.
That was out of the turn 10 complex, but for Osco Tunho, welcome back to VP Racing SportsCar Challenge. And what was that? I've got to believe we get a better look now at the issue with Kane. I got to believe gets in there, gets that ABS going deeper than he thinks he's going to get in there and just can't get the car slowed down.
Wow, and that was into the side of DiBenedetto, who is a contender, as I mentioned, in that fight, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in the championship.
It would have been
wow,
significant, and it wasn't.
Yeah, DiBenedetto lost a spot to Frank Depew. So Frank actually having a tremendous day. I wanted to give a shout out to him, sitting 4th, one of his best drives of the season. And then John Braille in 3rd place. We haven't called his name all race long. His debut in the championship, nice and quiet, nice and steady. And look at that, sitting a really stout 3rd place.
Yeah, one of those deals where he and Lucas Facuri in P3 came in to test the waters, and you know what? They've been very, very professional with their approach, very, very respectful for those others around them, and kind of shows that in motorsport in general, just go out, dot the I's, cross the T's, stay out of trouble, and you get to stand on the podium perhaps and drink some champagne.
This would be an 8th win. I've got my sums correct here for Kiko Porto, 7th or 8th on the season. 3rd in a row, I can say that with confidence. Just a tremendous season. He's been busy as well, coaching in Lamborghini Super Trofeo, where the Rafa Racing program has some entries as well. But this is a star in the making, I think. And Toyota, Lexus, they've noticed. They gave him a test in the Lexus RCF GT3 over the summer. And he has been on their radar. Can't wait to see what the future holds for him.
Yeah, it's just a great young talent behind the wheel, but outside of the car as well. Always has a big smile on his face. And as you said, you think about the future, and this is one of those drivers I believe that you're going to see move on up the ladder, and it won't take long. I'll say before we see him on the other side of the racetrack, because that's here at Michelin Raceway, Road Atlanta, 2 pit lanes. WeatherTech is the pit lane inside the track, and Michelin Pilot Challenge and VP Racing SportsCar Challenge with the pit lane outside the racetrack, drivers left. So I don't think it'll be long before we see him on the other side of the track.
No, I don't either. Again, he's on a lot of people's radars with the way that he's performed in this paddock here this year. Oscar Tunho, I think the same has to be said. It's been a limited season. 1 lap to go here. 1 win so far on the year. This would be win number 2 in a partial campaign, and I think he's got to be thrilled with just how straightforward this weekend has gone to this point, where he's been the fastest in every session.
And this Gebhardt team, as you said, debuted here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta with some great results, and they come back. They're going to do the same thing here this weekend, this time with 3 cars. I think the drivers work well together as well. Valentino Catalano and Oscar Tunjo raced together in Michelin Le Mans Cup in a P3 car. They're 11th in that championship right now. And in Prototype Cup Germany, they both raced there as well, where Catalano is 4th in that championship. So they're front runners in the championships they run in this LMP3 machinery with this Gephardt team all over the world. And they come here to VP Racing SportsCar Challenge. Tunjo on his return, as we said, missed the rounds at Virginia International Raceway, but comes back here this weekend and obviously knows this car, learned this racetrack, and will come out of 10B for the final time. Up and over the hill, the diving turn, the checkered flag awaits. Oscar Tunjo takes another victory in VP Racing SportsCar Challenge. Welcome back, and you can't do it in better style.
Thoroughly dominant all weekend long for Oscar Tunjo. 2nd win of the year. Now we wait for Kiko Porto, who's looking for that 8th win. He clinches the championship and takes win number 8. Jake Walker also an 8th win, 5th in a row, and the championship stays alive for one more day.
One more day, and you know they're going to sit there, and I would say you never wish ill for your competitors, but I'm thinking that they might have liked to have seen a problem mechanically for Adam Adelson in the 24, so the car couldn't get back out there tomorrow, so there was a chance for a championship. But Adam Adelson, he's going to come home with another 2nd place finish, managing the championship, just like we talked about. That small mistake cost him that 1 position, but he's still comfortably in that championship lead. And there's the checkered flag for Porto. It was the 68 that came by before. They look exactly the same, Ryan, and the 6 and the 6-8. So now Porto can celebrate as Rafa Racing takes the victory there. But talking about Adam Adelson, he has to restart the race tomorrow, and the championship will be his. So they dodged a bullet. They managed the championship well, like we talked about. He protected that car, and now all he has to do is see the green flag tomorrow, and it's his. And I think the race will be different tomorrow because of that.
Oh, totally. I can't wait to see him get to race kind of turned loose, unchained for the first time in a really long time. He's had to think big picture because it would take something catastrophic to let Walker back in. He's not opened the door for that. Now he knows we just take the start tomorrow, then we can go race, have some fun, and celebrate a championship.
I'm wondering about this. I'm wondering if Ian Porter has a good car underneath him. That car looks sideways to me as it goes down the straightaway right now. Like, the alignment is not off. So I wonder how long he's been fighting that. I saw him come into turn 1, remember, earlier on a replay with a prototype behind, and we questioned whether the prototype had made contact. I don't think it was that at all. I don't think the car is quite square. Now, I say that, I also missed the toe link on Stephen Clemens when I thought that was broken earlier. But, yeah, the 68 does not look square to me.
No, I would agree with that assessment, and maybe it wasn't totally all squared away after his issue in qualifying yesterday, but whatever the case, this is one to forget. Had that penalty given to him, of course, for lining up in the wrong column at the start. Had the miscue in qualifying that had him at the back in the first place, and he'll try and bounce back in the finale tomorrow.
Well, there you go. Oscar Tunjo, welcome back to VP Racing Sports Car Challenge, and for the Gephardt team, welcome back to Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. Good success right there as you see the 31 and the 30 up front. The 1 ran well as in addition, but they had that problem, the penalty, and that's what set Christensen back aboard the 3rd entry. Jake Walker takes yet another victory. He and Adam Adelson are going to have one heck of a race tomorrow.
Can't wait to let them fight it out, kind of unchained from the context of the championship.
Kiko Porto takes another victory, followed by Patton in his debut in VP Racing SportsCar Challenge. And you said it, Braille, there in 3rd, rounds out the podium, and he on debut, a great run there, quiet all day long, walks away with a podium finish.
And top 5s for Frank Depew and Angus Rogers. That was a really good day for both of those guys.
Stephen Clemens, we talked about the problem that he had earlier on, a little bit strange. Bill Kane, no time on the racetrack because of personal commitments, and he struggled a little bit. Zitza had his issues in that early problem for Roland Kranz.
Yeah, it's frustrating for those on the back end, but the good news is they get one more chance to go into the offseason with their heads held high and some positive memories of the 2025 campaign.
So one race to go, 2 championships decided already, and one more to go tomorrow. We'll round out the season. We'll finish it up for VP Racing SportsCar Challenge from right here at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta. Multi-class sprint racing for some of the best drivers in the paddock. They're learning their way, showing their way around Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta. And we've got one more coming up tomorrow. For Ryan Marine, I'm Brian Till. We'll see you then. Don't miss it, everyone. So long.